Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. You can already see this is a bit longer than usual and a bit more packed with content than usual. So I'm gonna tell you a bit about the idea of where this came from. So basically I was hanging around in the AHA Discord as basically ever usual, and someone mentioned that they need a special kind of mob for their game. And being who I am, I thought, well, challenge accepted, why not? So I decided, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna try and make something, make a monster for them, and just hone my skill set, because this would include, as you can see in the video description, making the model, rigging it, animating it. So I thought, okay, I have most of my Sunday unplanned. My Sunday morning is usually planned out, but the rest of the day I was like, why not? So I said I can do it, and here is the content. So you can see I've obviously started making the monster. I took a approximate human shape and then experimented a bit. Basically, you can see that it doesn't have really a belly, it basically just has a spine. So I basically tried to take the human form and change it up, change elements of it. This was also a good training to just get basically down to actually making models. So at some point this month I want to do other monster or creature models as well. So even though I didn't do a full human model, I did one, but not one I'm confident with. I'm still looking into just making content, just making stuff. So yeah, definitely looking into that as well. And yeah, so I decided, okay, I'm gonna play around with figures a bit. I'm gonna play around with the creature a bit, and yeah, this is basically what I came up with. I had a bit of reference material, which I will blend in on the corner for you to see. And yeah, this is basically what basically the idea was to go with something shadowy, dark, a bit creepy, and this is what I went for when I made this. And the base shape is very simple. Yeah, so you can see that the base shape is very simplistic. Yeah, I'm trying to keep it simple but still give it detail. And actually I basically made the first iteration, which is the video you see. I showed it to a few people, I showed it online, people gave feedback, and I didn't make a video about the changes I made with that feedback, but actually like took this and changed it up a bit, made it yeah, it changed up the symmetry, changed up the elements, made it a bit more inhuman. So the chest that is in the current model is very human. So basically what I did is I shortened this, I distorted this a bit to give it a more inhuman vibe, so to speak. And yeah, this worked quite well. I can see the head itself is also just a basic approximation of a human face, or of a human head. And yeah, this is all part of the whole detail. Yeah, pulled up a few tricks, got a few ideas what I can change basically. Yeah, but this is obviously only part of the whole story. So I basically was already thinking about how do I want to rig this, how complex do I want to make this, or other option, I put this over Genesis 2 female, or Genesis 2 general, or Genesis 1, doesn't matter. Basically I put this over the Genesis body as kind of a clothing or something mock-up, and then I make the Genesis, the human model invisible, and then I basically use this. This would have been the fast version, but I decided, okay, no, I actually have the time and the interest to rig this. I wanted to rig this. I wanted to rig this by hand completely, and I wanted to animate this by hand, and I did. So there's a little short animation. In the end, this has a 1 second move animation, a 1 second move loop more or less, and I looped it 3 times at the end. So for everyone who wants to just jump right to the end, check out the animation. And if you want to tell me what you think, tell me if you like it, if you don't like it, what you would do differently, what I could do differently. So yeah, feedback is always appreciated. Yeah. So at this point, I basically had the model down. I looked into, okay, how am I going to cut this for the UV map? So this is the UV mapping. I'm basically just grabbing the whole model. At first, I wanted to get the whole model. Then I decided, okay, I'm going to cut this into pieces, whatever, because I was basically very clear to just throw on very, very simple textures, and this is basically also what I did. Yeah, and this is the model, the first version, and this is the final version. You can see there's a bit of the spine is a bit shifted. The hip bone or the pelvis is a bit shifted and crooked. And yeah, I basically had to find out how to convert this to a figure first. So I converted the prop that I imported to a figure. And the first step, as usual, is making the face groups. You can see that I'm using a very simple structure. At this point, I wasn't sure, do I want to make the feet? Do I want to make feet and toes? I decided to go for feet and toes. So this basically has pelvis bone as a start, or hip, then pelvis bone, then left and right thigh, shin, foot, toe. This is where I am right now, basically. And by the way, overall, the whole thing took me about, I've got to lie, a few hours, definitely. But yeah, spine or abdomen, 2 parts. I labeled the spine because it's the spine, but usually it would be the abdomen. The chest, you can see that I shortened the chest. Basically, it's shorter than a human chest would be, preferably. Neck, head, upper arm, left, right, lower arm, left, right, hand, and then I was also undecided between hand and fingers. In the end, I could have just taken hand, which would have probably helped me with, like, I don't know, probably 15 to 20 minutes, maybe half an hour less work in the end. Not really sure, but yeah, I decided to give it fingers just in case. Yeah, just in case I want to use this. And yeah. So basically, I'm finishing up with the face groups here. You can see had to do a little bit of yeah, editing in here because it's not symmetrical, so I screwed basically up a bit. I found a symmetry tool thing, I think, in Daz Studio, but I haven't tried it out. Whenever I did try it out, I will make a video about it, most likely even in the tutorial channel, because I think if this symmetry tool works as I hope it does, then it's worth a 10-minute, 20-minute, depending on how interesting it is, video in the tool, in the tutorial section. So keep your eyes peeled for that if it comes up. Probably gonna take a bit of time next week to play around with that. I should have the time next week to do that. Also, probably there won't be a video on Wednesday because my Wednesday is pretty full. I cannot make any promises if I can make this video when the video next week will come out, but most likely there will be one. I don't see why not. Yeah. You can see the bones. I activated the bones. If you choose the figure and go to parameters, you can select bones visible in the menu, and yeah. Basically at this point I had to retouch a few of the face groups because they were not I had to change a few face groups because I didn't properly set them at the first time. They were a bit off. But yeah, I will. I basically had to rectify that, and then I went for it. So yeah, one side is done. Basically, just doing the finishing touches on the other side with the bones before we come to the truly horrible part, the weight mapping. Weight mapping is great. I also saved in. Sorry, I also saved in between. You can see that right now it says Daz Studio 4.21 Pro. So in a few seconds it will also give you the file name, but I basically I usually try to not show the save files because I have a few sensitive things that are not YouTube appropriate. And yeah, stays mine. Okay. Yeah, so one thing that I am doing is basically just setting the weight maps here. I'm drawing them on. I'm using general weight mapping here, and you can see that I set the brush to around, that the brush is set to 0.3 sensitivity. So I basically have to paint this all a few times. And the idea was that if I paint this by hand, I hopefully have soft changes in the joints, and I would have if I wouldn't have been stupid. So basically I painted this with all the necessary time, and this was actually most time consuming, just painting the whole weight maps here. And really just one general weight map is perfectly fine, because general means basically it uses the same weight map for left, right, up, down, and or side to side. So basically for all the axes X, Y, and Z, it uses the same weight mapping, and also for scaling it uses the same weight mapping. So yeah, if you do this yourself, unless you want to go professional, so if you do this as a hobby, same as me, then general weight mapping is probably more than enough. Yeah. This one was also kind of really frustrating to paint because it's such a big area, and I wanted to have everything except for the joints reddish. And yeah, this took a lot of time. I basically just also changed the sensitivity so it would get faster. I changed the size of the brush every now and then so it would get faster, so I would be done in a reasonable amount of time. And yeah, this was head as well. This took a lot of time to actually like paint the whole head, and yeah, I had to definitely touch up the whole thing a second time. Though when I did this, I was basically already knowing that I would have to move all the parts and touch everything up a second time with weight mapping, because there's always pieces I don't get that you don't get by painting weight maps. So yeah, you basically always have to move the figure and then do the same thing again. So yeah, doing the first of the sides, you can see that I'm leaving a bit of stuff out here just to be on the safe side, so this doesn't look weird. I also, basically, this is why I didn't move the fingers in the end, because I was unsure how weird this would look and how it would actually distort, so I basically just decided to give it a very basic move. Yeah, last side, basically right arm is basically the last side that I touched. Interestingly enough, I usually start working on the right side, or I work on the right side of the body, but in this case I always started painting on the left side for some reason. I think this is also because it just is in that order in the hierarchy. No idea why, but yeah, whatever. Not sure if I did this or if Daz is yeah, structuring this like alphabetically, but doesn't really matter. So we're almost finished with the first layer of weight mapping, basically, and yeah, the first layer is really just so that whenever I move something, that the rest moves with it. The fingers are just one bone. Usually fingers would have 3 bones, like in Genesis 2 it's index 1, 2, 3 and ring 1, 2, 3 and so forth. I decided I'm gonna have just one because simplicity's sake and time. Okay, so we're saving the whole thing as a prop, re-importing the prop, and as you can see, it kind of works. The problem is, if you grab a bone and then move it with the controls, so with the coordinate control thingy that you see on the bone, if you are in universal multiply mode, then it's weird. So you basically either you use one of the rings to move it, which I basically did, or you grab it and move it then, but this also doesn't really work perfectly well. So in the end, animating this was also a very interesting thing. And you can see all the artifact that created. So basically the neck gave me a really hard time because I had to just try how to actually paint the neck. And you can see that I set the sensitivity to 1, which was probably a mistake. Not a mistake because it works. The model works fine. But the joints are not as bendy as I wanted them to be. So basically I had to, or basically I overshot the joints are very rigid, and I wanted them to be more lifelike and looking organic, but didn't work well. Something I learned for the next time. I'll definitely remember that. So yeah, I had a problem to actually move a few of the things because they were stuck. Some of the ends of these were stuck in the body. This is also something that will happen. But yeah, you can basically move the whole figure because you can simply, what I'm doing in a second, or if you is basically grab the whole thing and reset to the normal or to the 0 position, which you should actually save. So basically, after I set all the bones, I said, hey, memorize figure rigging, so that this will be the new 0 position for every bone. This will be the new standard position, as you can see here. Yeah, I reset this, and now we're going to actually animate this. So basically, I made this have it like the starting point was like it looks like it's moving, like it's walking. And then I basically had 60 frames in case I needed more, but I planned for 1 second per step or double step, and this worked quite well. Only problem that I encountered is for some reason when I pin something with this figure, he doesn't remember the translation or the translation. He doesn't remember the actual place it is. I don't know why. Probably I should have probably reloaded the whole thing again after the second rigging and saved and made a new scene. Would it most likely been better? But yeah, I wanted to have this finished. So you can see that I'm playing around with the textures here for a bit. Yeah, basically just took a few seconds off the animation to rectify that and to play around with that before I went in for the final stretch on the animation. In the end, I used about 30 frames of this, and yeah, knowing that we're almost nearing the end of the video, I hope this was entertaining for you. I hope this helps you in your own endeavors. Yeah, it was a really fun and interesting thing to do. Enjoy the short 3-second render at the end. That is to say. I also exported this as a FBX for other people to use. So yeah, that's about it for today. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you, if you want, you can like the video if you enjoyed this, and I will see you guys in the next one. So stay healthy, stay safe, and as usual, see you guys around.